Okay, so picture this. You're getting ready for a big cycling adventure.
Oh, yeah.
Your bags are like almost packed. You've got all your maps planned out. You're ready to hit those open roads internationally. But then you think about like, how are you going to get your bike there?
Yeah.
I mean, are you going to risk it with the airlines?
Right.
You know, what if it gets damaged or lost or delayed?
Exactly.
And if you've ever traveled with a bike internationally,
Oh, yeah.
you know, that just thinking about getting that bike box through the airport.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
It's a total nightmare.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we're exploring a different approach.
Okay.
We're going to look at how you can combine your love of cycling with a really unique travel experience.
Interesting.
Traveling by ship.
By ship.
Yeah. And I know you love adventure. You love cycling.
I do.
And you're always looking for new ways to see the world.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're going to dive into today.
There you go.
And we've got some really cool sources for this one. Particularly this one really detailed account from two cyclists who actually did a whole world tour without flying.
Wow.
And they did a big chunk of it by cruise ship.
No kidding?
Yeah, so they share a lot of practical tips.
Yeah.
Reflections on the whole experience of cruising with bikes.
So it's like a how-to guide for adventure cycling by sea.
Exactly. So today's mission is to unpack all of that.
Okay.
We're going to see, is using ships, especially cruise ships,
Right.
a viable option for cyclists like you who want to explore the world?
Sounds good.
We'll look at the benefits, the considerations, all the practical stuff you need to know.
One is ready.
All right, let's get started.
Let's do it.
So this no-fly philosophy that our source talks about,
Yeah.
I mean, it all starts with that fear of what could happen to your bike on a plane,
Of course.
right? I mean, they share stories of bikes being damaged,
Oh, yeah.
even lost during air travel, and like,
It's the worst.
it's heartbreaking.
Totally.
So choosing to travel by ship, it's not just about a different mode of transport.
Right. It's about protecting your precious bike
Think so?
and peace of mind.
Absolutely.
And it's also about reducing your environmental impact.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
The source really emphasizes that flying has a much larger carbon footprint than other modes of transportation like trains or buses.
Right?
And a lot of people are becoming more aware of that these days.
For sure.
And they want to travel more sustainably.
Yeah. I mean, we try to be eco-conscious in our daily lives.
Exactly.
But then you hop on a plane for a long-haul flight.
And it kind of negates all that.
Yeah, exactly.
And beyond the environmental aspect, there's also the personal health side of things.
Okay.
The source mentions things like increased radiation exposure at high altitudes,
Oh, wow.
dehydration from the cabin air, and just the overall air quality on planes.
Yeah, it's not exactly a spa treatment up there.
Right. So these are all reasons why someone might choose to avoid flying altogether.
Interesting.
And that brings us to the concept of slow travel.
Which is all about embracing a different pace of travel.
So not rushing from point A to point B.
Yeah, and this is where ships and trains and buses really shine, especially for cyclists.
Oh, why is that?
Well, first of all, you don't have to disassemble your bike.
Oh, that's a huge plus.
No more cramming it into a tiny box.
Right.
And no more worrying about it getting damaged in transit.
I mean, I've spent hours trying to pack my bike perfectly,
Yeah.
so I can only imagine the relief of just rolling it onto a ship.
Exactly. And then there's the jet lag.
Yeah.
When you fly across time zones, your body gets all messed up.
Totally.
And it takes days to recover.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Especially when you're excited to explore a new place.
Right. But with slow travel, you gradually adjust to the new time zone.
Makes sense.
And you avoid that whole jet lag mess.
So you can actually enjoy the journey.
Yeah, the journey becomes part of the adventure.
I like that.
And when you travel slowly, you can spend more time in each place. You can really immerse yourself in the culture, connect with the locals, have a more authentic experience.
And it's better for the environment, too.
Exactly. Fewer but longer trips means a smaller footprint.
It's a win-win.
So now let's talk about ships specifically.
Okay.
And I think for many people, when they hear the word ship, they think of a cruise ship.
Right.
And the source actually talks about how the cruise industry is changing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're becoming more eco-conscious.
Interesting.
They're introducing electric ferries using land power in ports, implementing more efficient water management systems.
So they're trying to reduce their impact.
Exactly. They even talk about future cruise ships powered by sails.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so the industry is definitely moving in a more sustainable direction.
That's good to hear.
But let's get back to the challenge at hand.
Okay.
How do you actually travel across an ocean with your bike without flying?
Right, because that's the big question.
Yeah, and you might think, oh, I'll just hop on a cargo ship.
Yeah, like a true adventurer.
But the source explains that it's not that simple anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, spaces on cargo ships are super limited.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of demand, and there are often strict requirements for passengers.
Like what?
Sometimes you need extensive medical checks.
Wow.
And it can actually be more expensive than you might think.
So, not as easy as it sounds.
Not at all. So what's the solution?
I'm all ears.
Cruise ships.
Cruise ships.
Yeah, surprisingly, mainstream cruise ships can be a really practical option, especially for cyclists who want to travel internationally.
So you're saying I can actually take my bike on a cruise?
Exactly. You don't have to think of it as just a leisurely cruise.
Right.
It can be your mode of transport across continents.
That's pretty cool.
So how did these cyclists actually make it happen?
Yeah, how do you even go about booking something like that?
Well, they did a lot of research.
Wow.
They looked for cruise lines that specifically allowed bicycles.
Okay.
And they searched for routes that fit their travel plans.
So in their case, they wanted to cross the Atlantic.
Exactly. And they ended up booking through a website called Kreuzfahrten.de.
Kreuzfahrten.de.
And they had a really good experience with them.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the phone support was helpful.
Oh.
And the agency actually went above and beyond to get written confirmation from the cruise line that the bikes would be allowed on board.
So they didn't have to worry about any last-minute surprises.
Exactly. And that's something I think is really important to highlight.
For sure.
If you're considering this kind of trip.
Get that confirmation in writing.
Absolutely. And the source even lists some really interesting cruise routes.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, there's one from Hamburg to the North Cape in Norway.
Wow.
And one from Hamburg down to Southampton in England.
Okay.
You could go from Barcelona across the Atlantic to Florida.
Nice.
Or from Southampton to New York.
That's a classic.
There's even one from Hamburg all the way to Florida.
That's a long one.
And then some more exotic routes like Ushuaia in Argentina to South Africa.
Wow.
And even Los Angeles to Brisbane in Australia.
So many options.
But the source does emphasize that you still need to confirm the bike policy for each specific route.
Right, of course.
And speaking of exciting things for our listeners,
yes,
the source includes a special code for you.
Really?
Yeah, it's hashtag Nufbergs23.
Okay, I'm writing that down. Hashtag Nufbergs23.
And if you use that code when you book a cruise through Kreuzfahrten.de, you could get 30 euros in onboard credit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a nice little perk.
Definitely.
There are some conditions, of course, like a minimum booking value per person.
Right.
And you can't combine it with other offers, but still.
It's a great bonus.
And by using the code, you're also giving a small commission to the cyclists who shared their story.
Oh, that's cool.
It doesn't cost you anything extra.
I like that, supporting fellow adventurers.
Exactly. So let's talk about the actual experience of getting the bikes on the ship.
Okay, I'm curious about that.
So they embarked in Barcelona, and it sounds like it was surprisingly smooth.
Really?
Yeah, the port wasn't crowded.
That's always a good start.
The staff were helpful. They even offered to take pictures of the cyclists with their bikes.
Oh, that's nice.
And when they asked about loading the bikes, the staff just said,
What?
Simply push it on board.
Simply push it on board.
I know, right?
That's so much easier than dealing with airport baggage handlers.
Yeah, it's a world of difference.
So no dismantling, no packing, no stress.
Exactly. Then they went through the usual security checks.
Okay.
Their panillas, their front rack, their seat, everything went through the scanner.
Just like regular luggage.
Yeah, but again, they said it was all very relaxed and stress-free.
Wow.
They walked their bikes through the full-body scanner, wheeled them over the gangway and onto the ship.
So easy.
It sounds like a dream compared to the airport chaos.
Absolutely.
Okay, so they're on the ship now. What about getting the bikes to their cabin?
Yeah, those ships are huge.
They said the elevators were surprisingly spacious.
Okay, that helps.
They did have to take the bikes up one at a time.
Probably to avoid congestion in the hallways.
Yeah, but their cabin was conveniently located near the elevator.
Nice.
So they carried their bags in separately.
Smart.
And then they met their room steward, Wendy.
Wendy.
Yeah, and she was very intrigued by their unusual luggage.
I bet.
They thought they might have to keep the bikes in their cabin.
Oh, wow, that would be a bit cramped.
But Wendy actually offered to arrange storage for them in a dedicated area.
No kidding.
Yeah, so they had plenty of space in their cabin.
That's fantastic.
And it sounds like the staff were really accommodating.
So they weren't just transporting the bikes.
Right, they actually got to enjoy the cruise experience.
Nice. So what did they do?
They ate lots of delicious food.
Of course.
They worked out in the fitness center.
Staying in shape for their cycling adventures.
Exactly. They even tried the climbing wall.
That's fun.
They spent time observing the ocean, watching for marine life.
Oh, cool.
And apparently they really enjoyed the whirlpool.
Sounds like a relaxing way to cross the Atlantic.
Yeah, so it was a proper cruise experience combined with successful bike transport.
I'm impressed.
So based on their experience, they have some practical tips for anyone considering a cruise.
Okay, let's hear them.
First of all, they suggest booking an inside cabin.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Well, you're mostly just there to sleep and change clothes.
Right.
You're not going to be spending a lot of time in your cabin.
You're out exploring.
Exactly. So an inside cabin can save you some money.
Good tip.
And they also advise against automatically getting the all-inclusive drink packages.
Okay.
Because a lot of cruise lines offer free water, lemonade, tea, and coffee.
Oh, that's good to know.
And some even let you bring your own non-alcoholic drinks.
So you can avoid those expensive packages.
Exactly. Now, specifically for cyclists, they really emphasize the importance of clarifying the bike packing requirements with the cruise line.
Even if it says you have to pack it.
Yeah, because sometimes the rules are more flexible in practice.
Gotcha.
And they also say it's probably not realistic to take your bike on shore excursions.
Yeah, that makes sense logistically.
And finally, they recommend looking into repositioning cruises.
Repositioning cruises?
Yeah, these are cruises where the ship is moving between seasonal routes,
right.
And they often offer the full cruise experience at a lower price.
So you're basically getting a discounted cruise.
Exactly, because they need to move the ship anyway.
That's a great tip.
So for you, our listener who loves adventure and cycling, but maybe you're not a fan of flying with your bike.
Or you're looking for a more sustainable way to travel.
This could be a really exciting option.
It's a whole new way to think about travel.
It's about embracing the journey as part of the adventure.
And seeing the world from a different perspective.
So let's recap.
Okay.
We've explored this idea of combining cycling with ship travel. We've looked at the benefits of slow travel.
The environmental impact, the personal health aspects.
And we've delved into the practical steps involved in making it happen.
From researching cruise lines to getting your bike on board.
And we've learned that crossing oceans with your bike on a cruise ship
is totally doable.
It can be a really stress-free and enjoyable experience.
And a great alternative to flying.
So if you've been dreaming of cycling in some far-off place, but the logistics of air travel have been holding you back,
maybe it's time to consider a cruise.
We encourage you to check out those cruise routes we talked about. Contact kreutzfahrten.de.
And don't forget to use that code #Nufbergs23
for some potential perks.
And if you have any more questions about cruising with bikes,
the original travelers are happy to answer them.
You can find their contact information in the source material.
So here's a final thought for you.
Okay.
What if, instead of rushing to your destination, you embrace the journey as part of the adventure?
I like that.
Allow yourself and your bike to experience a whole new way of traveling.
Crossing continents by sea.
Imagine the possibilities.
That's an inspiring thought.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep those wheels turning wherever your adventures may take you.